we see ghost animals. Have you experienced any ghost animals? And what is your take on this?
Well, it's quite simple. Is that animals don't have souls, so they don't. I'm just kidding, completely kidding.
I took that. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That hurt. I was like, damn, Steve.
He is the one. He's the only Steve Gonsalves.
Whoa! Hey.
What's up?
What's going on?
Oh
nice
my gosh.
to see you again.
We are so excited. Thank you for your big return.
Of course, please, anytime. You're always super fun to talk to. And Josh, we're gonna have a blast.
We're gonna have a good time.
We're gonna have a good time. So I see people are already starting to ask questions. Keep them coming. We're definitely going to get to those questions. First, Steve, though, we wanted to talk about you've spent the past couple days in the happiest place on earth. You've been hanging out in Disney. So how has it been?
Yes, amazing. Of course, any chance to go to Disney, I try to get there as often as I can. But I was there with Tango and his wife Lisa and a few of our friends. Miss Amy Bruni came for a few days. We had a blast. I was there, gosh, maybe 8 or 9 days or something. But it's, I mean, the best place on earth. Come on, it was awesome. Please.
I love seeing, like, I saw you were tagged in a bunch of photos with people that just spotted you in the wild. That has to be like such an added bonus being at Disney and then running into the ghost hunters. I mean, what more can you ask for?
I mean, yeah, it's cool. I always like chatting with people, and it's awesome, especially if it's like a cast member and they slip you some fast passes.
That's right.
It's like, hey man,
right.
And I know it's it's Genie plus Lightning Lane now or whatever, but the cast members still have those fast passes in there.
They got the
They'll give you a stack of them. But no, it's always nice running into people, and it's cool. And sometimes they'll see one of us, and then they'll see another one, and then they just But it's cool. People are super nice all the time.
So did you make it over to Epcot? Someone's asking if you got to ride the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot.
I did not ride the Gardens, gosh.
Gardens of the Galaxy.
The Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot. I didn't. I'm not, I do some roller coasters, Mine Train. I'll go on a Space Mountain occasionally, but I don't think I can do Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't do heights very well, but I will try someday. I'm gonna have to watch like 100 ride-throughs and see what it's really like.
I've watched a couple. They compare it to Space Mountain essentially, but with, I guess it goes backwards. So there's a different type of launch that I don't know.
Yeah, I heard it was awesome. Amy Bruni, who was there with us, she went on it and said it was fantastic. But I didn't go on it.
Well, we will live vicariously through her then. So there we go. She did it for us. We appreciate it. So another ride, Steve, that we know that you do love is the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, of course.
So here, I told you at the beginning of the show or before the show, we were going to put our buddy Josh on the spot. So Steve, Josh is going to cold read some of the script of the Haunted Mansion for you in different voices. So I'm
going to commit the ultimate crime and go across the hill. And since I am, as some of you who watch the show may know, I am involved at Universal Studios Hollywood with the Megatron Optimus Prime attraction. I will read this in the Optimus Prime voice for you, Steve.
You will? Okay, and we also...
It's totally unexpected for me, Steve, too.
This is awesome.
Okay, well, I guess let's bring it up. And then let me get the music going. Okay, here we go.
Wow. This is awesome.
When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candle lights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight.
Very
Time
good.
to see you.
When hinges creak.
Oh, hold on. Let me get rid of that. How about this?
Oh, that was awesome.
The next one. How do you feel about doing maybe? Well, let's see, because Jude put suggestions.
Oh,
Snake.
Yes.
From Rickman. Very well. I have arrived. Welcome, foolish mortals, to the haunted mansion. I am your host. This castle is a bit dreary from what I'm used to. Your ghost host. Kindly step all the way in, please, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now, Joanna. Our tour begins here in this gallery, where you see paintings of some of our guests as they appeared in their corruptible mortal state.
That was wow.
Yes.
Coming in hot.
Oh
Now,
gosh.
The next one, I think we need a little John Taffer from
John Taffer. Let me tell you something, all right?
Okay.
When I walked in here and I saw the bar, all right, your cadaverous parlor betrays an aura of foreboding, almost as if though you share a disquieting metamorphosis. Is this haunted room actually stretching? Or is it your imagination? Huh? And considering this dismaying observation, okay, this chamber has no windows and no doors, which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out with the Taffer virtual trading system I installed. Of course, this always works. I didn't mean to frighten you prematurely. The real chills come later because you lost $30,000 in the bar. Now, as they say, look alive, and we'll continue our little tour. And let's all stay together, please, as we rescue the bar.
Yes,
Very
we
Bostonian
rescued
there at the end. He got very Bostonian there.
Well, let's do one more. We'll do the
Yes,
wrap it up, end of the ride, Grover.
Oh no.
Okay.
There's a monster at the end of this book, and Steve, he's seen many monsters. There you are, and just in time. There's a little matter I forgot to mention. Beware of hitchhiking ghosts. They have selected you to fill our quota, and they'll haunt you until you return. Now, I will raise the safety bar, and a ghost will follow you home. Bye, Super Grover.
Wow.
George.
Dude,
Yep.
you're Alan Rickman in like
Thank you, sir.
So on point. Oh my god. If I closed my eyes. Like wow. I mean they're
It's
all
pretty
great.
spot
But,
on.
that one,
Cheers.
and obviously
Thank you,
your Optimus Prime was gosh. Whew. Gotta compose myself. That was awesome.
Thank you very much. Let's get it out, right? You know what I mean?
I do. I gotta shake it out.
Pardon me. I wanted to sing it and almost, you know what I mean, as Rickman in the Sweeney Todd vein, but Universal on the other side of the pond, we don't have we have like the Universal horror monsters, and we have Halloween Horror Nights every year, obviously. So it's kind of like a recycling, but we don't have anymore a good horror spot other than the Psycho House on the tour, but there's no true maze anymore in the park. And recently they brought back the Bride of Frankenstein, so we still have those characters in Dracula and all the old school going around. But Disney, man, that area is just frankincense and myrrh.
It is awesome. I love.
Nothing.
I mean, both parks are super awesome, obviously. But there's something about Disney that smacks me around. They just at Universal. Did I hear they got rid of the Universal Monsters Cafe?
They did. And well, at least in the Hollywood location, and I think in Florida too, and they got rid of the Beetlejuice review. I don't know, that was years ago, but and I know in Hollywood we had a Walking Dead attraction that was year round, and that recently closed a year or two ago because they built it, and then we're like, let's build the Children's Land next to the most violent attraction. Why not? Hey, right? There's the Secret Life of Max and the pets and everybody, and there's some mangled corpses lying in a trailer over there. It's fine. Just walk forward.
Crazy. Well,
totally normal.
Universal.
Since you did mention it, Josh, I heard the keyword, which was Beetlejuice. And I know, Steve, you recently got to see it on Broadway. Tell us everything. How is it? And how is the new Lydia?
Oh gosh, this is a loaded question here. I have seen it. Since it's reopening, I think I saw it twice, maybe three times. Um, it's amazing. It really is. The new Lydia Elizabeth Teeter.
Teeter.
Yeah, fantastic. Honestly, she's really, really good. I love Sophia. Obviously, her voice is so good, and as a fan of that, and you know the soundtrack. You know, you get a little nervous maybe, but she nailed it. She was awesome. Her acting really, really good. I loved it, and of course, Alex Brightman is king of Broadway in my eyes. I do want to see it with Will Blum again. I saw it with him once, and I know he just spent a week, being Beetlejuice, and I'd love to see him again because he's really good. But Alex, bro, oh man, yeah, it's fantastic. It's so good. They added a few jokes that I don't remember, and I know they do mix it up sometimes, but they were there both times or every time I saw it. So I think they may have mixed in a few more things, but. Fantastic, awesome! You got to see it, everybody. Let's take a field trip, please.
Let's go.
It really is so good. I would go as far as to say maybe even the best 2.5 hours you'll ever spend on Broadway.
Wow. Okay. And I remember, Steve, I think it was a couple of years ago, you guys got to explore the Winter Garden stage where the original production was. Now they're in a different theater. So how are the vibes in there? Do you think anything paranormal could be going on behind the scenes of the new theater?
I mean, I haven't heard any stories in that regard, and usually people will reach out and say, "Hey, this theater is supposedly haunted." When I was there, Carrie Butler had told me about a theater that was haunted, and a few, but I haven't heard anything about that place. The new theater is nice, a little more modern, it seems, but beautiful, does a great job, fits the stage nice. The distance from stage to front row is actually a little bit better, I think, for the front row people. You're not as much looking, straight up. It's a great theater. I'm so happy that they're there, and the mural outside of all the artwork, the fan art, is beautiful. It's such a nice, sort of way for them to say, "Hey, fans, that's really cool. You send this stuff in. Thank you." It's just great. Please go see it. Please, God have mercy.
People are wanting to know if you saw the new Harry Potter. Well, I guess it's not necessarily new anymore, but have you seen the Harry Potter play?
Of course, no, I have not. That's on my list, obviously. There are a few I need to see. I haven't. I'll get to it this summer for sure. Because I got a couple months where I have a little more free time in terms of our filming schedule. So I'm going to try to see a few of the shows I haven't been able to. Hadestown, I'd like to see.
Yes.
Speaking of filming, you have an upcoming documentary, House Inbetween 2, coming out June 21st. We are aware of how. Tell us a little bit about this project. What's going on? What can we expect from it?
Thank you for asking. Hey, look at that! Wow,
look at that!
Good. You know what? It was awesome. Honestly, on my way to Disney, I actually stopped by the house there and visited because I was in Mississippi. So making my way to Orlando, I literally drove right through, the area. So stopped, had some lunch with Alice and Brad and John, and they got to meet Tango for the first time. He was with me. So they were really excited about that. But it was cool. Obviously to see them. I love them dearly. Alice is one of the sweetest, most gracious people I've ever met in my entire life. But the first film, we're very fortunate that it did quite well, and that allowed us the opportunity to continue the story. But more importantly, the success of the first film got a lot more eyes in terms of the scientific community. So for part 2, we were able to, really get in touch with and put a lot of people in there who we wanted to have involved in the first one. Like we had a geophysicist come out and literally she, set up on the property for a few days and stayed there and did all sorts of groundwork and surveys and did some energy work, and I don't mean in a holistic sense, in very much putting electrodes in the ground and electrifying things, and like a geophysicist would. She has a background in astrophysics, and it was just great having her. And she said, she said some things that were very poignant and may have given us some pretty solid answers. But you're going to be quite surprised at what happens. But it was important for me to be able to continue to help Alice as a paranormal investigator. It wasn't over. As much as the story in the storyland, you want to tell the story and continue. The actual investigation needed to continue, and the success of the first one allowed us to do that in the way where I think we were really able to make an impact this time. Whereas if we didn't do a second film, it probably would have been it's me just running around that house. We were able to get scientists, and we even had some other investigators come who I really love. Dustin Perry was involved. Elizabeth Saint came to, and she tailored some equipment because she has a background in electrical engineering to really help us try to figure out what could be going on there. And I get a lot of messages, people saying, well, why wouldn't you have Tango? Why, and it's, for this type of project, to have Jay and have Tango, number one, they're under really strict contracts. You can't really do other when you're, luckily I had this in place, before, so and we want to make sure that it's, is unbiased from the audience's perspective, as as it is. We just want answers. It doesn't matter. And if it were, my best friends in the world there with me, there could be a thought of course, they're going to make it because they're all, so there were a few reasons, but fantastic. We're so excited. It's really came out awesome. I think everybody's going to love it. Dustin, Elizabeth, all the experts that we had. We even brought in another psychic investigator who did a great job. We had Jill return, but we also thought it was important. Yeah, Jill Morris from the first film. She really blew me away in a lot of different ways. One, I don't work with psychics as many as a lot of other investigators do, just because it's a little hard to really, in terms of evidence, corroborate what's happening there. I like to have things that you can tangibly show if possible. But it was important to Alice and to the investigators there. So, and the two of them together was awesome. I think everybody's going to really, really like that. And yeah, thanks for asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The House Inbetween 2 is available June 21st
That's
on
like 3 weeks.
Apple platforms.
Yeah.
So we're right around the corner.
Oh my
Check
God.
it out.
they can
House
pre-order it now.
Inbetween 2.
And it's amazing.
I hope it has one of
everyone
those in the show.
Dude,
I know they need you to, Josh, to do a House Inbetween 2 trailer.
Done.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God, your voice is, Josh, I'm telling you, like it's right
thanks,
here
man.
in my ears.
Thank you, man.
It's pretty intense.
So thank you. We just mocked. I did the newest trailer I did was for Moonfall. It was kind of like a Roland Emmerich's old school 90s. There's no place to run, no place to hide, because this moon isn't half moon. It's a full. There's just so many puns on moons. It was stupid. It was.
But it's
but
awesome.
in the vein of all horror movies, and I always joke around saying it's never like this October. Enjoy a haunting experience. It's always this October. Shit, it's the fan.
As it should.
Well, yeah.
But Steve,
in June, you can get away with like a horror movie, maybe in like this July.
Possibly. But yeah, I agree with all of the comments. Everyone's super excited. I am definitely excited about it. Now, let me ask you, because we had you on shortly before the initial one came out. So at what point did you and your production team realize you're like, oh my gosh, we're doing a second one? Or was that always secretly in the back of your head, Steve? Just give us the deets.
Well, for House, yeah. We didn't have any plans for a second one, quite honestly. I had plans to continue finding Alice answers, getting answers for the house, for John, for Brad. I plan to continue my work there, but to make a second film, we had no plan for that. We didn't know, but it did well. The distributor and right away said, hey, if there's something there that can still be told, let's do it. They actually told us we could do any documentary we wanted to. And Kendall, the other director and the other executive producer, and I, we said, well, of course, let's do House Inbetween part 2, so we can continue that story and work with Alice and all of that. So it really first came down to the success of the first one, being able to do a second one. It all lined up that way, and then the production company and the network. I don't mean to praise them, because people think that's a little weird to praise the people you work for. Because of course you're
imagine that, right?
People, right? But quite honestly, they were very, very gracious with sort of tailing the filming schedule around me working on that project, and allowed me to do it. They could have easily have said no. So it was really cool. Really glad we obviously got to do it. But that's how it came about. And then once all that lined up, we just started hammering away, producing it, getting all the pieces lined up, and Kendall, getting all the equipment needed. And then I leave obviously the camera stuff and all that up to him. He's a genius with that stuff. But all the producing stuff, we started getting right into it. Vera Welton, the other executive producer, and she started hammering away. I think she may have had an idea in her head that there may have been somehow, because I don't think she stopped working. I think she was always like, what else can we do? What else, because as soon as we were ready to go, she was just, firing off things. It was really cool. Yeah. Thank you for asking. It's really awesome.
I think you're being modest when you're saying it was a success. This was a huge success, Steve. I mean, like, didn't you go like #1 in iTunes or something, if I recall correctly? I mean,
we were very fortunate. We had #1 documentary of 2020. Then we had I think in the top 5 iTunes highest pre-orders ever. Maybe I think it was over the doc. Yeah, we did really well. Luckily, yeah, it was cool. And yeah, thank you.
No, of course, and congratulations. Yeah,
congratulations, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're all very excited. I did like this question, since you mentioned that you brought in another psychic. Christine was asking if you've ever had a psychic read you personally.
Yeah, of course, a few times. Yep. There are people I love and trust with my life who have given me readings, who I do think somehow, had some intuitive feelings or some information that I don't know how they would get, and it is quite confusing and perplexing. The first time it ever really hit me as something strange was actually with Lorraine Warren. I think I was only maybe 16 years old or something, and she didn't know who I was, obviously, and I just walked up and she was like, "Hello, Stephen," and like, just my friend's like elbowing me. My friend Chaney, like, "How does she know your name?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, what do you mean, man? Sure. And then, maybe, looking back now, when I was a kid, I thought that was super cool, but, she could have somehow on the roster or something, maybe it said some 14-year-old kid, and I looked, I don't really know how she would have known that, but yeah, it has happened. And but one psychic actually did tell me the initials to somebody who ended up being somebody in my family who was murdered, which was a little crazy. But then again, it's easily to look up online or something. You never really know. But yeah,
sure. But like, that means that you would have to assume that they're taking the time to look up stuff online. You know what I mean? It's like, why would someone do that? But I guess sure.
I don't know. Why do they sell snake oil back in the? I don't know. There are ways people.
The best mentalists and psychics are always. It's like the best mentalism is body language. A lot of like improv work is done off mentalism, and certain theories of acting, like the Meisner theory, are built off of completely reacting only to what other people are giving you, and that is the basis of what your character is. So I think. Psychic readings, there's a lot of maybe that based in that of you know what I mean. It's a connection. So
yeah, when it comes to that, as long as the person getting the reading is feeling value from what's happening, that's all that really matters.
That's a good point.
If they're offering people, I mean, if they're charging thousands of dollars, that could be a little strange. But if it's if somebody's really going through grief and somebody connects with a loved one and it gives them a lot of comfort and helps them, there's something to that. And there, like I said, there are psychics who I love and trust, who I know wouldn't make things up or lie to my face about anything like that. So it's out there. It really is. The older I get, the more I sort of see that there could be a connection there. And quite honestly, the more I dive into science, the possibility of a wavelength that's readable, strictly intellectually, is not out of the realm of possibility.
Okay, chills.
Chloe,
okay.
Love you, Steve.
Crazy. I like this question. They don't have a name, but we'll put it up from Facebook user wanting to know if you ever use sage after any of your investigations. I can only assume they are a ghost. Who are you, Facebook user? I do not know.
A phantom?
I personally don't. I don't. I understand that there, again, if people use it and find value in it, that is awesome. But for me, I don't understand, and maybe it's my own naivete. It really could be, but I don't understand. If an energy or a ghost moving through a space and going, sage, I got to get out of here. I just honestly, I don't understand. That to me, and quite honestly, it could be just my brain not connecting how that makes sense. But if other people find value in that's all that matters. My mother, she burned sage in her house, and when I bought my last house, she came around and smudged it for me, the whole thing. And on the other side of that, Jason, who obviously, Jason Harvey has always said something that has struck me as a valuable piece of information when it comes to that is things like sage crosses. If you put all of your hope and faith into that, when that is taken away from you, what do? You feel vulnerable. You feel, what if you forget your smudge stick at home and you're on a or something, or you forget, your cross and you feel like that's your only line of defense. You're really going to have a hard time. But a lot of people find value in burning things, sage, and just 2 years ago, I thought the power of crystals was slightly foolish until I talked to some geophysicists and some other physicists who said, hey man, it's very possible that there are some stones such as quartz and even limestone and a lot of different minerals that in a large enough piece can hold energy, really can. And how it's released is a different story. And some researchers and scientists think that even if the large mass has some energy, you take off a little shard, it's not going to carry much with it. But whether or not that energy is doing anything for somebody, who knows? But they're beautiful, that's for sure.
That's true.
My wife believes in that, and that they're more conductors of you know what I mean, that they're kind of like antenna, and they kind of and they carry a charge. I've heard that before too. But we have crystallis formations in our home. Absolutely.
Yes. She's absolutely right that crystals and quartz, that's why in a watch, a quartz movement is quite important. There are a few reasons. They use jewels and crystals in, mechanisms to transfer energy. So that is possible. And also they use that because they, like if you get a Rolex watch, there's, I think, 12 jewels in there. And it's because the jewel won't wear out, but over time, the metal rubbing on metal, wears. That's why some of those watches are quite expensive, because you can open the watch back and see literally like little jewels and sapphire looking things, and it's real. Yeah.
I was super into it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not anymore. I still have them all over my place. But the first time I ever went, they're like, whatever you connect with, like nothing was really labeled. They're like, just pick the ones that you connect with. And I picked one. I'm like, I like this one. They're like, that's salt. I picked up a salt rock. Sure.
I like salt too. Don't worry.
My sodium levels are very high. Okay, sure. I like this question, Steve. It's a little off topic, but let's see up here. Nicole wants to know, how many hats do you own?
Oh, Nicole, it's a good question. I have a plain black one that I wear like on television, because you can't have like a Boston logo or whatever like that. But in the real world, I own 3. I have like a blue one with a red B. I've got black with the black B, black with a silver B, and I have light blue with a yellow B, if you could believe that.
Wow.
Yeah, mostly Boston hats, from the area. Actually, kind of funny. Not to always talk about Disney, but the guard at Disney, I'm walking in, and he got me so good. But he's like, "Hey, there's a big B on your hat." I was like, "Oh!" And he's like, I had to. He's like, "I'm a Yankees fan." I was like, "Oh, you son of a gun!" I took my hat off. I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "I'm a Yankees fan. Sorry."
Oh, here's your moment, guys. Here's your screenshot. They wanted to see without your hat. So, ta-da!
Oh,
there it is.
People always want to see it, and then when I take it off, they beg me to put my hat back.
I doubt that.
We have the same hair. I love it. What a great hairstyle. Look.
Here we go. Go ahead. Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey.
Y'all are
Mine's
rock
a little
stars.
leftover. I got some leftover stuff in here. Right?
Pretty much the same.
If
people knew how I did my hair, they would. I haven't had a professional haircut in probably 4 years, 5 years. I literally just do what I'm doing right now, and I just take trimmers and go done.
Is that the sound effects? That's it.
Well, pretty much.
Got it. All right. Well, to pivot again, I like this question as well. How do you cleanse yourself after coming into contact with negative energies, if you do?
Yeah. Personally, I don't. There's nothing that I've found quite that useful, other than just removing yourself from the environment. And to me, negative, the demonic side of negative is quite rare, right? Very, very rare. So negative to me means more if somebody was nasty and gruff when they are alive, most likely they are in death. Or maybe, there is evidence, or at least I should say patterns in case studies that point in that direction. So in that regard, you can deal with some things. For instance, there was one, I don't go too much into it because it makes me quite sad, but there was a hate crime, and that is quite nasty to think about what happened. And I fell into probably not a depression. I don't want to, people who go through real depression would say, "Steve, you're an idiot. Come on." But I did go into a deep funk for a couple months. That even Tanga would have to like grab my shoulders, like, "Hey man, are you all right?" And it's like, this one just stuck with me, man. It happens. We had a case where we were possibly communicating with a 14-year-old girl who passed. Really sad. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that, like, for me, you have to cleanse yourself of other people's pain, because you just, if you have empathy for that sort of thing, it does stick with you, because you deal with death and trauma and like other people's. Not always, a haunting can be sparked from love and devotion, and that's quite nice too. But even in that, there still usually comes some grief and sadness and distress and all of that. But that's the stuff that sticks with you. Now, the really negative stuff, sure. If you believe in demons, you can call them demons. If you believe in just a dark energy that maybe has no religious value to it, that stuff can stick with you for sure. Sticks with a lot of investigators, and for quite some time. But yeah.
Ooh, dang. All right. All right. Let's see what we got next. I like this question too. What is your favorite producer job on Ghost Hunters?
Wow, that's a different question. I think just being involved in the paranormal side of the investigation and being able to nuance things in that regard. Story, I do my part in a bit, just trying to keep everything together. But on the investigation side of it, being able to say, hey, this doesn't make sense. We should do A, B, or C, or hey, why don't we call, a historical an archaeological historian in, or that sort of thing, where if I didn't, have a role as producer, that probably wouldn't, go very far. And that's nice. But we have a very collaborative team on the ground with Ghost Hunters. Our director is the coolest, James. He's always willing to work with us no matter what we want to do. And Matt Rashavi, one of our producers, he's been with us for years. He did all Ghost Nation, the old Ghost Hunters, the new Ghost Hunters, and we probably wouldn't want to do television without him. He's great, and just being able to be in on those conversations with them is really, really cool and a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's that's probably for me. Dealing with the paranormal side when it comes to Ghost Hunters, being on Ghost Nation, it was cool to be in on the the development of it. Ghost Hunters is something that's been developed. They did that 20 years ago, but that was cool being a executive producer in that regard. Being able to really figure out, what is the show? Where does it go? Not where does it go geographically, but where does it go in terms of what is the story of it? Things like that. Really cool. And yeah, that was a good question. Very interesting question.
There's a lot of good questions in here, and I wish we could get to them all. I like this question too. Any updates on your book?
Whoa, that's nice of you to ask that too. There's no official announcement yet. We're still in the the putting the things, doing the but all of the pen work is in place contractually and all that stuff. But we're just not done. Yeah, I'd say stay tuned for some official announcements in terms of publisher and where and title and all that stuff. Everything in terms of that information, I have to rely on them to let me know when I can release that information or talk about it. But I think people are really going to dig it. It's a different take on the paranormal side of things, and has a little bit of not a biography, because I'm not that type of guy who's going to write a biography. No one really wants to know what I did when I was 5 years old. But,
I mean, we kind of do, but that's all right.
Yeah, but there is some, in that regard. Yeah, some of that really cool.
Exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the chat are talking about animals right now. Are you seeing this too? I'm seeing the animals.
I am.
Animals.
A frequent question we get is, why don't we see ghost animals? Have you experienced any ghost animals? And what is your take on this?
Well, it's quite simple. Is that animals don't have souls. So they don't, I'm just kidding, completely kidding.
I took that. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That hurt. I was like, damn, Steve.
Not at all. Animals are, I think they have quite, there's more going on in a lot of animals than I think in some
Kindred
people in
spirits.
terms of, yeah. That's a great question. I've thought about that. I think most investigators do think about that. And we do see energy that, does seem to be small like animals. We do have captured some audio recordings of, animal sounds, and doesn't quite make sense that they would be there. But to be completely honest, I've never seen any visuals of something that, is animal-like. A lot of people do claim that their pets are still, there and they see animals, and that could be possible. But I just haven't seen anything. Do I think that if ghosts exist in terms of people, would animals have them as well? Yes, I think so. I think that, yeah, absolutely. I think they would exist.
Because, like, I guess thinking about films and stuff, you see maybe like like goats, but maybe that's more of like almost a possession thing rather than a ghostly goat. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like in terms of the demonic world or the darker side of the paranormal, that's a visual that they take upon themselves to disturb humans.
It's working.
It's working.
Yeah, they got me. People are telling me I'm supposed to read Bruce Tango's question. I don't know. Should we put it up here? I don't know. It's a little. I don't know. Are we supposed to read this? I don't know. I feel weird reading this one out loud. Okay.
I wouldn't read that. I don't think that's really Bruce Tango.
Yeah, let's take that away. I don't know what this is. Okay, so we wanted to talk about an upcoming ghost hunt that you have at Battleship, North Carolina. So what can you tell us in particular about this location?
USS North Carolina is one of the coolest places I've ever been, quite honestly. We investigated there to Wilmington, North Carolina. We did a few times with the show. We even went there, I believe, with the Academy show as well. And Danny, he's passed away since, but he wrote a book. He lived there, and he wrote a book about the hauntings there that he had encountered. And there had been some lineage and history of hauntings there, going back even before he was the caretaker of the ship. We did have some really intense experiences there, hearing things that didn't make sense. And I didn't see anything visually there myself, but I know a few other investigators that we were with there did claim to see some things. But I remember being in I think, what do they call it? Brig? Is that where the medical is? It's
brig is the prison room. It's like the jail cell almost.
Right. Then not that. It's infirmary. Thank you.
Infirmary.
Well, no, that's at whatever it is.
Sure.
Where the medic. And I remember hearing what sounded like one of them coming down and somebody sitting in it, and it was right in front of me. I don't remember exactly who they claim is, but the torpedo hit in the basement and blew that basement, and the lowest deck blew that place up. But one of the coolest things about USS North Carolina is they'll let you go on these investigations, at least now, anywhere you want. And I remember the first time we ever went there, they just opened a hatch, and we're like, nobody's been down there in like 60 years. Like, if you want to go down, go ahead. We're like, and we go down, and we found like Pearl Harbor documents and all this crazy, awesome stuff. And yeah, it's a cool place. A lot of people claim they're seeing shadow-like apparitions, and I go, what I tell about people who want to go ghost hunting in a public, the ghosts, sure, they may or may not be there. We have no idea what their interpretation of time and space is, right? What is a week here or a day here could be months or years. Nobody even knows. But you go for the history and to learn and to be with like-minded people who love these sort of things, and to be in an abandoned battleship in the dark at 2 a.m. is honestly one of the coolest things you can experience. It's so awesome. And then maybe you'll see some ghosts, which is even cooler,
Sure.
But sick bay. Thank you, whoever
Sick
that
bay.
person is. I saw it. Thank you.
There's the vernacular we needed. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
But yeah, this is I did an event there quite some time ago, but doing one, November 5th. I think it might be sold out.
Oh,
not sure. It might be sold out, or there may be a few tickets left. They'll have to check, because I got a message last week saying there were a few from the promoter saying there were a few tickets left, but that was a week ago, so they're probably gone. I'm not sure, unless you release.
How many people get to experience this together? Like, if they do go on these events with you, or it's hard to.
Yeah, it's always different depending on what type of experience the promoter is trying to have for the guests, depending on the size of the place. I've done them uh, with as little as 40 people and as many as 400 people. Yeah. So it's
That
always
is
different.
awesome.
Yeah. If you're at a place like, Waverly Hills or something, you can put a couple hundred people in there and they may not even run into each other throughout the whole night, but you try not to do it. It all depends on the promoter and what's happening there, but they're always super fun.
See, I would love to go with that many people because you probably leave with 399 friends, like if you're in a
That's what it
event
is.
like that. Yeah.
It's a whole shared experience. Everybody becomes friends, and then we find all these people at these events, like they end up becoming friends, and then all going together, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And Christine, who is saying that she is attending the event, making a girls' night out of it, wants to know if there's any equipment that people need to bring.
I mean, it's all up to them, whatever they want. I know that they supply some gear for people, but if there's stuff that they want, they should definitely bring it. Yeah, I mean, there's the tried and true stuff that anybody should have anyway: flashlight, video camera, audio recorder, that sort of thing. The other equipment's fun. Gadgets are fun and they do help, but really your senses are the most important, quite honestly.
Okay.
Infrared,
well, that is
thermal
so
vision.
exciting.
Thermal infrared for sure.
And Nicole said that she will be there for her 50th birthday. So that is exciting.
Whoa, Nicole.
What a better way.
Yes. Well, I shouldn't say it now. We still got 6. Let's give her that
got
couple
a
of
little bit
months
time.
of extra in her. Yeah, let's give her a few more months in her 40s.
Well, Steve, as always, we have a game for you of Would You Rather. So there is no wrong answers. You've always done fantastic at these. So we have some new ones for you.
Okay.
So, Josh, do you want to?
Would you rather, my friend? Would you rather go on a paranormal investigation with Darcy and Joe Bob, or go on a paranormal investigation with Sven Gulli?
I mean, as much as I love Sven Gulli and I mean, Joe Bob is a legend. He's the man. He's the king. He's every Friday. Come on, how could I? I mean, let's go. Tomorrow. Let's do it. The drive-in lives.
Okay.
Of course, Joe Bob and Darcy. Yeah.
And then Sven Gulli can come along too. Like he can come. I'll go. Yeah. Okay. Here's the next one. Oh, okay. Would you rather live in Hopkins, Indiana, or live in Derry, Maine?
Oh, I think Hopkins. The universe, the world of that is so vast. That I think it'd be more fun to live in.
Okay.
What about you?
I know. Okay, so I just started the new season of Stranger Things yesterday, and it's insane. So maybe because it's relevant, I'll say Hawkins. But here's the thing: if Tim Curry is living in a drain pipe somewhere, I'm going down that drain pipe. You know what I mean? Like
I've been to Bangor, Maine, which is what Derry's modeled after, right? It's because I went to his house in Bangor. And it's a creepy town. I'll tell you, it's a creepy town. There's gargoyles out there and statues. It's very Maine. It was very Maine. We ate the pink hot dogs and the all sorts of weird stuff out there, like these hot dogs that were pink. They said it was a Maine thing. I don't know. Maybe they were lying to me.
Sure. That's cute. But yeah, I guess in terms of where I am right now, I'm gonna go Hawkins. So I'll see you there, Steve.
I think so. All right, I'll see you there, and then we can go to Derry.
Yeah, then we'll go to Derry. We'll play a little D&D.
They have arcades and movie theaters in Hawkins. I'm down for it. That 80s.
Right, we're all going.
We're all going.
Okay,
that's
done.
what I'm saying.
We're going.
All right, next one.
Would you rather have your likeness incorporated into the Haunted Mansion, as we were mentioning earlier, or make a cameo in the next Ghostbusters film?
Haunted Mansion all day. All day. Of course. What about you guys? That's a good one.
I'm going with Ghostbusters. Just because I grew up on it and it was one of my favorite franchise, because there's a poster over there. And there's a lot of toys in the garage about it. So
Yeah,
it was a big deal. Unlicensed nuclear accelerators, class 5 roaming phantasms really did it for me. They really did it for me. So so speaking to you today too, Steve, is a huge honor for me. So I'm going with Ghostbuster.
I am too, because I want to kick it with Slimer.
I would want to be. I wouldn't even care. Like I would be like a failed Ghostbuster. They'd be like, this guy keeps showing up in the uniform outside. He doesn't know anything. He says he's one of us. He's hosting tours outside. You know. And then they come and they're like, bust this vicious, specter over here. This Valkus matter. Let's go.
Just don't cross the streams.
Ectoplasmic.
Right?
It would be awesome. It would.
Yeah.
What about the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon? That would be kinda cool.
There's a whole story with that with me. Like I only had like a VHS tape of like half of an episode of this one episode. So for 20, 30 years, I never knew how it ended as a child. And when I got older, I eBayed it and I said no. And I got in the episode. It's called Citizen Ghost. And it's the episode when like their suits have leftover ectoplasmic residue and they become former specters of themselves. And in the timeline, it takes place right after Gozer and between Vigo. So it was very like, as a child, and that was something I fulfilled as an adult. So I'm done talking about my dreams coming true as Ghostbusters.
Who are you gonna call?
Have you caught up on other episodes? They're all so good. Like,
They're all so good. I didn't know what I really realized that was cool about the franchise is that, I mean, a lot of it was done in Japan, the first couple seasons, and then they moved it towards the animation. And it was really what inspired me. I'm a voice actor, obviously. And what inspired me to become a voice actor was that show. Frank Welker, Lorenzo Music, Arsenio Hall, Larissa Marsh.
Arsenio Hall.
All those guys were like, they blew my mind. Arsenio Hall is Winston, right?
Like, and he was the better Winston of the two because there was another voice.
There was two Peters, right? Because then Dave Coulier came in to be like, "Hey, Spud, what's up? Me and Egon are gonna go bust
Okay, Josh,
a few."
cut it out. All right,
cut it out.
Joey's
here too.
I love Dave Coulier. Anyway, okay. Now we all have to do a Real Ghostbusters marathon. Hopkins.
We could talk about Real Ghostbusters for a long time, apparently.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Here's the next one. Would you rather do an investigation of the Haunting of Hill House or do an investigation of the American Horror Story Murder House? Oof.
Probably the Murder House, I think.
That doctor, right? That doctor is crazy in there. The surgeon. That's in town in LA, and people, it's like a tourist spot, and they visit the house a lot. I'm sure you've seen it outside too, Steve. So, what a cool spot.
You know, is it anywhere loosely based off of perhaps the Black Dahlia murder? I don't know that for any degree of certainty, but
like there's some inspiration behind it a little bit, right?
Yeah, Black Dahlia is. She's part of that season.
Okay.
So
God, we used to live on Mulholland. Like we lived right on the bottom in Studio City. I lived there for 8-9 years. Right at the bottom of Mulholland Drive. And that place, I'm telling you, like it's weird. Like there is a weird vibe around there. It is not like it's that dark Hollywood people talk about it. I'm like, no, it's real because like when it gets cold out there in Studio City is right where all the hills are. So that's the only place where there's like fog and mist in the valley. It's like where it congregates. And I'm telling you, if you ever have the choice, if you're ever in Los Angeles and you are doing the tour circuit, I highly recommend doing Mulholland Drive. Because it's a cool road to begin with. But you'll definitely see what I'm talking about.
All right.
Yeah. Too creepy for me. All right. Am I reading the next one? I think maybe. Am I reading this one? I'm going to anyway. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, Steve, would you rather watch the adventures of Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad for 7 days in a row or watch Return to Oz for 7 days in a row?
It's a great question, but I'm going to have to say Return to Oz. I love TikTok. He's like been one of my favorite characters forever. I love TikTok so much. And I feel like that kind of movie you may like learn something new every time you watch it. Like you'll notice a new little nuance or something. I mean, you could find it all online, I'm sure, but if you're just watching it, you'll probably find something new you like about it every day, right? I think. Whether it's a different green emerald thing in the background you didn't notice, because Jax always has to. There's that one scene anyway where he has to find the real emerald or some green thing in the room, whatever, for that woman to change her heads, that creepy ass woman. Woo! Forget her name, but yeah, Return to Oz, I'd say. What about you guys?
So I'm gonna go Ichabod Crane, only because this was a movie Danica and I would watch year round all the time. And I never realized this until yesterday when we were writing these questions, that the voice of Ichabod is Bing Crosby.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, Bing.
I'll go to Return to Oz. I love Ichabod Crane too, but I always saw it in like the Disney package. It was either a VHS tape that had several like Halloween episodes on it that was like part of the Silly Symphonies thing that was out in the 80s. I had one of those, or it was like recorded off the Disney Channel, and there was like that 45-minute Halloween special. So I never got to see like the full thing. It was always just the Headless Horseman part. The kids these days have no idea. Like, yeah, back in the day, we missed stuff.
Yeah,
you didn't see it all, and you lived for 30 years wondering what happened. It's all right.
All right.
Moving on. Would you rather,
Okay.
my friend, own a set of drums that belong to Joey Jordison, rest in peace from Slipknot, or own a set of drums that belong to Mike Portnoy?
Ooh, good question. This one is different for me. I would say, as a drummer, I would rather have a Mike Portnoy set because he uses a nice little 6 and 8 inch toms, and he gets a nice, Joey has a very deep, very much a metal kit, where I feel like if you want to pull some funk and some jazz, and you'll have a better time on a Mike Portnoy kit than a Joey kit. But I'm a bigger fan of Joey. Obviously, he's a legend, and he pretty much brought blast beats and crazy fast double bass to the mainstream. Obviously it was there with Anthrax and other bands before, but I think he inspired a whole era of drummers to go as fast as they can. It's pretty awesome.
That those MIDI triggers and everything on there, just
he's so
good.
Yeah, and he doesn't need triggers. He can do whatever. Hey, Holly, that's right. The Wheelers. That's my sister, Holly.
Oh,
I saw her
hi,
say,
sister.
The Wheelers are terrifying. She's right though. They're in Return to Oz. The Wheelers.
The Wheelers.
They're so
TikTok,
terrifying.
Dude.
TikTok, yep. His freaking mustache.
I'm gonna have to revisit because I haven't seen her.
It's like a Teddy Roosevelt.
It's like a Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh man. All right. I think we have one more. So here's the last one, Steve. Would you rather go back in time, have a conversation with Vincent Price, or go back in time and have a conversation with Lon Chaney?
Wow. I'm going to have to say Lon Chaney because Tango is obsessed. It's his all-time. He loves Phantom. He loves Lon. He loves the whole thing. And I'd want to maybe get some answers for him, some questions. Maybe if he has, I love Vincent Price too, but I know how much he loves Lon Chaney. Would probably have a lot to know about. I mean, I would too, about his makeup and his techniques and how, he really. But I think Lon Chaney. Yeah, Vincent Price is cool, but I'm gonna go Lon Chaney.
It's a great answer. That's a tough one. They're really tough, but that's so nice. I love that you're like keeping Tango in mind for this question too. You're such a good friend.
Well, I mean, you see Lon Chaney, that's the first thing that comes to my brain is Dave Tango.
Here's a circle back. Because we're talking about Lon Chaney. Okay.
Go ahead.
We were talking about Universal earlier. Obviously, the Phantom of the Opera set. There's a whole street named after him on the lower lot. Recently, the Phantom of the Opera set was destroyed 5 or 6 years ago. They rebuilt another studio stage behind there, and now it is Super Nintendo World is coming in 2023. But as someone who works on the lower lot, ever since they destroyed that stage, I firmly believe there are happenings. And all of us talk about it because we also joke that how the mummy ride is there and how there's like reciting demonic incantations 24/7 all day, pretty much an ancient Egyptian. We're like, maybe you're asking for it just a little bit. They're hanging around. They're like, it's like their favorite radio station. They come over, they're like, let's go over here and listen for a while. They're playing our stuff. And so, but really, and it's only there's weird power. And like I've spoken to actual security people who work in loss prevention with the park. There are power fluctuations that happen when the park goes from when it closes to when it opens. And they're unexplained, and they only started when they destroyed that building. That's all I'm going to say.
So, is that
Steve,
true?
That's true.
I was going to ask if you've been there since the building was destroyed. Have you been?
I haven't. Oh wait, how many years ago was it destroyed?
It was
5,
at least 5 years ago. I want to say, yeah.
Yeah, I was at Universal last year. I was at Universal. Yeah, so I've been there since then, but I don't know if I went down to that section. I don't know.
If you go in the future, anyone listening, and you want to know where it is, it's right. If you look at the Transformers ride, it's the building to the left of it was where it used to be. It used to be right there, and that used to be Backdraft to go further back, which used to, and it goes all the way back.
Backdraft.
So, Backdraft.
That was cool. I forgot about Backdraft.
There used to be a live stunt show, and they would just light stuff on fire.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I'm still mad at them about Twister. Like that was a dope attraction.
Cool too.
I don't know what they're doing. The new King Kong though is pretty awesome. I won't lie. It's pretty cool. It's
fun. Yeah. But they took away Twister from us. They took away at the one in Orlando. They took away Jaws. Okay, look.
They did take
the
Jaws.
I get it. Harry Potter. Cool. Great. But Jaws though.
I know.
Okay.
It's iconic.
This is a whole nother rant that I could go on. But anyway, Steve, before we relinquish you back into the world, is there any final thoughts you want to leave with us here today?
Yeah. Ghost Hunters, of course, every Saturday on the Travel Channel, 9 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, we'll have new episodes coming as part of the Ghosttober. And that'll be, I think Discovery Plus. But they'll have all their full and official announcements. But yeah, we got more episodes coming, and new ones airing every Saturday on Travel.
Awesome. Well,
and if you can't wait, House Inbetween 2, June 21st, right around the corner. Also, if you can't wait for that, the new season of 14, season 14, by the way, of Ghost Hunters. Congratulations on that, my friend.
Is it? Oh my gosh, 14? How?
14.
That's insane. And 3 weeks, and you can pre-order House Inbetween 2. So make sure to check that out. And
thank you.
That's so exciting, Steve. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. We'll have to have you back on again because, like, as always, we barely scratched the surface. Everyone's questions are phenomenal. You guys are so clever. Before we do let you go, we're going to go over our upcoming guests that we have coming up for what month is this? Oh my gosh, it's going to be June tomorrow.
July.
How is this happening? On Thursday, we have Jared Redditt from Bowling for Soup. Next Tuesday, we're welcoming back Nicholas Wheeler from the All American Rejects. Next Thursday, we have Andy McPhee from Sons of Anarchy. We also have John Elefante. We have Jonah Ray from Mystery Science Theater 3000. We have performer Jenny Tolman, Lucas Rossi, Zach Good, who is the new singer of Smash Mouth. That's going to be really fun. And hopefully, Steve, we'll get to see you soon.
Please, anytime. Always great to talk to you. Josh, thanks, man. Lots of fun. And,
pleasure, Steve. Thank you so much for coming back to the show. It was an honor to meet you and to share some stories.
Anytime. Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see everybody in Hawkins. All right. See you guys real soon. Be safe, everybody. Au revoir.